covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now, coverage you can count on.
We needed to make sure we went around to all the homes that hadn't burned and make sure that they were going to stay standing.
Redding firefighters are back home tonight. How their years of local experience helped save lives in the SoCal wildfires. Plus,
there came a point in time where I had to force them to go home to get some sleep.
New at 6, new details about those final hours before a gunman shot 2 children at the Feather River Adventist School in Palermo. But first, new details. We are reporting a fire at the specialized fiber facility in Corning for the 3rd time. The property is off South Avenue near Kirkwood Drive in Corning.
An Action News Now reporter Sade Pullen shows us what happened this time and where efforts to clean up the badly damaged site stands now.
A fire in 2018, a fire in 2023, a lawsuit, and now a structure fire on this property has continued to spark concerns, and it has people wondering who's responsible. The Tehama Glen Cal Fire Unit rushed out to a building fully engulfed in flames just before midnight on Saturday in Corning. It took crews until nearly 3 a.m. Sunday morning to contain it. Drew Kane, the CFO for Crane Mills, which is located across the street from the former Specialized Fibers facility, tells me that the building that burned belonged to Crane Mills. But he says that Specialized Fiber was renting it out and using it. This is the property's 3rd fire. I asked one of the owners who he thinks is responsible for the cleanup.
So what the county did in 2024 was they put that property into receivership. So it's actually now the full responsibility of the county. And the county had already begun removing metal dumpsters, which I'm sure if you go around the county, you'll see that their contractors actually subletting those balers out to other people, which is completely, not the intent here. But it is the county's responsibility now that they've placed these property into receivership.
Gotelia also claims that when he tried to clean up in 2022, he says DA Matt Rogers added extra fees. Gotelia says that those fees are extortion and unnecessary, saying that he won't pay them. I reached out to the Tehama County District Attorney Matt Rogers, who said in part, the corporations have completely failed to remediate the property and continue to operate a second facility on Toombs Avenue. That was rife with the ordinance violations. This office brought a second civil lawsuit pursuant to the California Business and Professions Code section 17200 regarding the Toombs location. The lawsuit regarding the Toombs property is ongoing and a trial date has been set for later this year. In conjunction with the latest lawsuit, we filed with the court a request to have a receiver appointed to the oversee cleanup and reduction of the property at South Avenue. The court granted our request and a receiver was appointed. No, Tehama County is not responsible for the cleanup of the South Avenue property. That responsibility rests with the receiver, who has already, before this latest fire, has been tasked with the cleanup by the court, and the receiver answers to the court. The next steps taken towards cleanup will be taken by the receivers. Gotelia says in August and in September of 2023 that they sought out legal teams and are in the process of filing a lawsuit claiming that they're not responsible for the cleanup. Reporting in Corning, I'm Sade Pullen with Action News Now.
A Cal Fire Tehama Glen unit says that the cause of the fire is under investigation and they would not confirm anything related to the fire being human caused.
A recent act of political vandalism has a Chico man pretty upset. 82-year-old James' husband, who's lived on Oak Drive for 55 years, woke up Saturday morning to find his truck spray painted with derogatory and vulgar words, including the word Nazi as one of them on it and alluding to President Trump. Husband says his security cameras didn't catch the person who did this, but he did call the police to file a report. Husband believes the vandalism might have again been motivated by the flags that he displays in his yard, which shows his support for the president and for conservative viewpoints. And although husband says that this is the first time somebody's vandalized his property, he does feel his community has been changing recently.
Chico was a nice town, and I love Chico. I still love Chico, but I don't like what it's turned into. And it's just too much turned away from God that I've noticed and I see happening.
We reached out to the Chico Police Department to find out if the vandalism was targeted or random and whether or not they consider this to be a hate crime. We're also working to find out if there are any suspects identified. We'll let you know when we have more information, and if you have any information, call the Chico Police Department.
Now a live look at Shasta County. We're starting the week dry, but hopefully we're going to be seeing rain before the weekends.
Not tonight, though,
No.
and Howie's tracking that for us. Howie, what's keeping us so dry right now?
High pressure continues to sit over the area, clearing out our skies, the clouds, pushing down and warming us up. But the thing about it is, in the morning, we're going to cool down where we can see some fog. What moisture is there gets trapped. At the same time, we can see some patchy frost. But for now, temperatures during the daytime looking pretty good, above average. Starting to drop a little now into the mid-50s to low 60s. Mountains right now in some spots already into the 40s. I talked about those winds. We had the wind advisories over the weekend, but now they're starting to settle. They'll continue to do so. But as high pressure I talked about moves off and storms move in, we're looking at potential rain, and we'll talk all about it in just a bit, Haley.
Thanks, Howie.
In Southern California, wildfire survivors are left in mud after rain caused several mudslides in the Pacific Palisades, as well as in the area of the Eaton Fire in Altadena. Now, less than an inch of rain fell in most areas, but it was enough to cause debris to flow across streets in wildfire-burned areas. The National Weather Service called the flood watch for Palisades, Altadena, and Castaic areas.
There's nothing left holding the soil in place, so even one drop of rain will come down 7 times faster than it typically would have prior to this fire.
Right now, the more than 20,000 acre Palisades fire is almost fully contained. Now, officials say that fire alone killed at least 11 people. The Eaton fire also is almost fully contained. Officials say that fire killed at least 16 people.
A team of 10 Redding firefighters are back home tonight after helping with those wildfires in Southern California. Action News Now reporter Blake Mayfield is live at the Fire Station 5 in Redding. See him there, a little bit dark out there, Blake, but tell us, when did they get back?
Haley, Redding fire crews were sent to Southern California earlier this month as part of the California Mutual Aid System and got back last week. It's in a similar vein to when the LA Fire Department came up here to Northern California back in 2018 to help battle the car and camp fires. According to Redding Fire Battalion Chief Eric Matson, 2 fire engines and 10 firefighters from Redding traveled to the LA region on January 9th. They stayed for 2 weeks, helping to assist in the firefighting efforts of the Eaton fire that devastated the community of Altadena. While there, Redding fire crew spent time relieving other fire personnel, some who'd been working for 36 to 48 straight hours on the fire at a certain point. They also helped survey smoldering homes and put out any additional fires or flames that they came across. Earlier today, I spoke with Chief Matson here at Fire Station 5 on Hartnell Avenue in Redding. He told me that the Eaton fire's destruction was something he had not seen before.
So not only did they lose their home, they lost part of their community. And it went for blocks and blocks and blocks. I mean, the devastation was pretty horrendous for what it was. Definitely the worst probably that I've seen. So I'm very heartbroken for those people because I lived through what happened here at Redding.
The Eaton Fire Incident Base was set up at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena just a week after the annual football game and parade took place. It claimed the lives of 17 people and burned more than 9,400 structures, the Eaton Fire that is, causing approximately $8 to $10 billion in insured property losses. It's also burned much of the city's historic black community. Reporting live in Redding, I'm Blake Mayfield, Action News Now.
Okay, so Blake, if more fires break out down there, will crews in Redding be called upon to go right back down there again?
Yeah, Haley, that's exactly right. Matson told me earlier today that if they're called upon here, if Redding Fire is called upon, they will go down yet again to LA and help out any way they can down there in the region.
All right, thanks a lot, Blake. Now, CAL FIRE is still working to find out what caused that Eaton fire.
New at 6, that's not the only mutual aid helping our area, from our area. California National Guard soldiers from an engineering company from Chico were working around the clock to help. Before the rainfall, soldiers were using heavy equipment near Eaton Canyon to protect communities vulnerable to flooding. The engineering company says it was a race against time.
And because there's now no shrubbery to stop these potential mud flows, we want to make sure we do what we can to protect residents. So in this massive basin behind us, we've been retrofitting it, making sure there's no blockages, bringing down the level a bit so that all of the water can collect here, and it will save people and property and help prevent any future disaster for people who have already been through so much.
Now, the California National Guard says that these engineers cleared and retrofitted debris basins alongside Los Angeles County Public Works and the Department of Water Resources.
A new executive order from President Donald Trump could have a big impact on California's water supply. Now, the White House is directing the Secretary of the Interior and the Secretary of Commerce to take actions to override existing policies of the Central Valley Project, which supplies water to the Central Valley. Shasta Lake and Folsom Lake feed the system. The presidential action threatens to cut federal funding to the state if water policies don't change. While the move is based on the SoCal wildfire battle, water experts note that the fire hydrants briefly stopped working due to acute demand issues on water, not because of state water policy. New at 6, teaching local ranchers a new way to care for the lands and waterways. We'll show you the new effort to educate.
And new at 6, Butte County deputies are still retracing the steps leading to the deadly shooting at the school in Palermo.
I wish that we never had to do an investigation like this.
New details in the gunman's path straight ahead.